Tunji Idowu is the Executive Director and Managing Trustee of the Foundation for Partnership Initiatives in the Niger Delta area. Bringing over 35 years of global expertise across non-profit management, corporate affairs, human resources, and leadership development. A trailblazer in diversity, equity, and inclusion within corporate Nigeria, Tunji also contributed to expanding Chevron's DEI initiatives globally. His work in the Niger Delta focused on community engagement, peace building, and poverty reduction underscores his commitment to sustainable development. Tunji's passion for nurturing future leaders is evident in his mentoring efforts. He sits on the boards of several private and non-profit organizations. He holds an MBA from St. Mary's College, California, a postgraduate diploma in mass communications, and a Bachelor of Arts in English from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. He is also a certified senior professional in human resources, mediator, facilitator, and a leadership coach, continuously contributing to the growth of organizations and individuals alike. Join me as we make welcome Tunji Idowu.
Can we keep jamming those hands together? As we call on Pastor Tunji Idowu. You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I refuse to let my cortisol level go up. Because I don't know who's scheduled after my sister. Tough act. Can I ask us to do something? I was just checking. I've been sitting for 2 hours. Can I have everybody just stand up and stretch? Just stretch. Say hi to somebody. Let's just take about a minute and a half. All right. Thank you very much. You may please sit. So I'm a bit of an outlier. I don't have any slides. I didn't get the memo to prepare slides. So you're going to have to listen, hopefully take notes, because if you miss, there's no slide to play back. And I've been given one very big title to talk about. When I saw the letter, I refused to pay attention to that title. I decided to go by what Pastor Murray called to talk about first, because it's a shorter topic. The other one is very, very, very big. He says, even though big things Nemo like, but not this one. The topic formal title is Building Impactful Enterprises, Thriving Beyond Profit. When Pastor Mo and I first spoke, it was just shortened to Business Beyond Profit. So I think you get the general idea. All right. So, it's afternoon already. I'm honored to be here. It's good to be back. Even though it hasn't sunken in yet, right? It's almost like it's one of those trips that I go for like 3 or 4 weeks and back. But it was sinking. But it's nice to be here. I'm honored to speak at this event, Thrive for Impact. And it's inspiring to gather with so many driven individuals. I've been observing what's been going on since Wednesday. I saw that session. I caught the one on mental health. I saw a little bit of the one on vocations and things like that. So it's good to be here because I know that all of us here are making significant investments in advancing our careers and improving our businesses. And you are looking for new ways to thrive beyond profit. So the topic I want to talk about is a concept that is both timely and critical for every business leader. May I just do a quick poll? Some of you I know very well. and I know what you do, but how many people are business owners here? No matter how small or big, you run your own business. Okay. The rest of us, how many of us are working for private companies, profit-making companies? Okay. And how many of us are in non-profit, like me? Or public service, government? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So, we will all look at something that is important. For the business leaders and entrepreneurs, it's all about building impactful businesses, enterprises that thrive beyond profit. That's what we want to be focusing on. And this is near and dear to me. As you saw in that introduction, they only took one photo. I don't know where they went and scoured and got all those other ones. I'm gonna be careful. It's not good for the image. We're in church. All right, just messing around. But when we are looking at this topic, and it's close to my heart, it highlights the powerful role that businesses can play in transforming societies, addressing societal challenges, and creating and leaving lasting impact. As was said, I had pinned. I've been there for 8 years. I've been working for 38 years. 30 years for profit. The last 8 years, non-profit. Although I've always been involved in volunteerism, rather from Red Cross when I was young to what we do here in church. How many of you know this is a non-profit organization? Aha. So please don't overlook what we do in church. That's why we don't pay taxes like the companies. So you have that consciousness to bestride the two worlds. And so that helps me to kind of balance myself. And I see that even when I was called, my ministry, my service is primarily in the marketplace. So you can see that. So for some of us, before the recent emphasis on this kind of topic, we've seen the need for businesses to run themselves, not only about being focused on profit. And we've also seen the need for non-profit organizations to operate in a way that doesn't just emphasize wastage or just having a kumbaya feeling, but to be efficient if they are going to be effective in their work. And I have a unique one. I'm running a foundation that was established by a for-profit organization, but to do non-profit work. Interesting. And I'll be using the word profit not only about material gain, not just about the fact that you need to improve yourself and have spoil or return, but really about material gain. So I want to define impact beyond profit. When we talk about thriving beyond profit, we are redefining what it means to run a successful enterprise, a successful business. Traditionally, we measured business success solely by financial performance, the bottom line, the return on investment. And people didn't care about all those other things. You hear, I didn't come here to count bridges, I came here to make money. And that was good up to a point. But along the line, people started holding us accountable. How many of us remember Union Carbide, the incident they had in India, where due to poor business practices, their chemical was released into a community and it just killed people? I watched that movie some years ago, very eerie. People were just dying gradually because of the emissions. And it was because of cases like that that Union Carbide was fined heavily, and then they were made to clean up, and similar people in that industry were now had to clean up. And you can't just run businesses and be polluting atmospheres and so on. Those of us who are old enough will remember when toxic waste was brought from the Western world and they were looking for somewhere to dump it. Their own place was not good enough for it to be treated. And somebody received it and brought it to Cocoa in Delta State. But fortunately, we got to know about it. And then the nation scrambled and the thing was carried back somewhere else. While profitability is essential, and nobody has anything against making profit. You are in business, you must make profit. But you are not there just to make profit alone. You are there to conduct your business in a way that people will say you haven't done negative things to the environment. So impactful businesses understand that profit alone is not their end game. So they focus on building businesses that create shared value. Shared value talks about value not just for stakeholders, but for other, not just for shareholders, but for other stakeholders. Stakeholders such as your employees. What are you giving them beyond just the paycheck? And even the paycheck, is it adequate? Is it commensurate with your bottom line? Is it commensurate with what others, the society expects? It's about shared value also for communities and for the environment. So, impactful businesses will leverage their financial success to drive positive social, economic, and environmental change. And I will come back to shared value in a little bit. But first of all, let me lay a little bit of groundwork. Organizations exist to provide products and services. If what you are doing, you are not adding value, your organization is not likely to last. What service are you providing? What product are you introducing to address something? Your service and product must be driven to address key issues, key problems, key challenges for you to really say you are impacting lives. If all you are doing is I just want to make money, if it's only profit, it's likely you are going to stint and bring something that is substandard. And because we're in church, we're expected that believers are supposed to provide, to be head and not tail, Abi. We all say it, I'm head and not tail. I'm above only and not beneath. If you are head, you should be the head in making the product in that your sector. Your product should be number one above every other person's own. If not, you're just one of the masses. You're just a face in the crowd. You should go the extra way, above and beyond, to render service as an employee. And Brother Goodluck was sharing earlier on in his office. Some disgruntled person, and every organization has them. They have a problem for every solution. Nothing is good. They will criticize their bosses. They will criticize their colleagues. They will victimize those their direct reports. Everybody is at fault except them. And when you check it 9 times out of 10, the quality of what they deliver, now wash. So no surprise. When you were saying the story, somebody was already asking. So the young man got kicked out. What happened to the bad influence? Thankfully, you mentioned, because we were curious. But the sad thing is, the victim was sacrificed first. Because these guys have perfected the art. At least they will give, it's like lukewarm water. It's warm enough to be considered hot, and cool enough, just warm enough to be considered cool. So they know how to blend. But if you are not wise and you work with them, you'll be a victim ahead of them. And there are typically 2 types of organizations, as I was asking earlier on, for profit and non-profit. Public institutions majorly will fall into non-profit, but there are a few that are commercial because they need to pay their way. And every organization has a purpose. Just as each one of us has a purpose. You were not created to just feel fly, have fun, occupy space. God created you for a purpose. I don't like to mystify purpose. I just like what, was it Maya Angelou that said it? Do what you can, whatever you find to do it well until you know what else to do. Just keep doing. There's a purpose for the first 10 years of my life. There was a purpose, and another one moved. But by the time I'm reaching 70 and I look back, I can see and connect the dots that somehow each one has built on the other, and they are not just random. But the important thing is, why did God create you? Give him worship, give him praise, represent him on the earth, spread his kingdom on the earth. And how you will do it, how B will do it, and how I will do it, and how Sylvia will do it, will differ because we are gifted differently. But in principle, that's the purpose. Every organization has a purpose. That purpose is the reason for being, their reason for existing, the reason they set out to do business or to carry out something. And the purpose is the key unifying and distinguishing factor. The ministry for education differs from the ministry for health. They are both meant to cater to the masses, but one is providing health care, the other one is responsible for educational issues. And your purpose must be greater than profit. Your purpose is your reason, and it must have beneficial impact on society. Again, as I said, that's not to say you won't make profit, but that's not the overriding factor. Hospitals are primarily care centers, even the private ones. But you know, they must still be run efficiently to stay afloat. But the overriding factor is not profit. That's why it saddens when some people know this is a bad case and all they're interested in is the deposit and the money rather than providing the care. And it's important that we talk about this, especially at a time like this, when many of us in the churches are losing sight of our purpose. Leaders in impactful organizations and enterprises play crucial roles. They are the ones that must embody and promote the values that reflect the mission, the purpose of the organization. When they do so, they inspire others to join along in that purpose. And so it's important to align your purpose with your values or your missions with your values. Every enterprise has a foundation. And that foundation is the clear mission, the clear purpose that must align with the values of the organization. In PIND, for example, let me use that. And our CCG, you know our mission statement. And your values have to align. If not, if there's a misalignment, you have self-sabotaged. We work to reduce poverty and conflict in the Niger Delta. And to do so, you must have partnerships and collaboration. You must have a culture of innovation and learning. You must think about what is sustainable, among others. If you don't have those, you really can't achieve your mission because that should be driving you. So, successful businesses, enterprises that will thrive, that will thrive beyond profit must have a purpose-driven mission at their core. We've all studied, read, and taken classes, most of us, purpose-driven life, purpose-driven church. There's also purpose-driven business and purpose-driven organization, purpose-driven family. Everything that God created must have a purpose, and the purpose must drive what you do. Anything you are doing that's not aligning with your purpose, you have wasted resource. Unless it's deliberate that I just want to play and have fun. Well, even when you choose to have fun and relax, that's a purpose. But if you drive something, you deploy resource without a purpose, you just wasted it. And somebody else has helped you in that regard. One of the first tips I learned growing up, my dad didn't put it in the exact words, but later I read a book that then made me understand, is that he would say you must save at least 10%. And he'll tell you if you can't save 10% when you are earning 200, you will not be able to save 10% when you are earning 2 million. Because if you don't have that habit. And so, each one of us has a purpose. But if you don't have a purpose and you spend all your money without saving, I think it was The Richest Man in Babylon or one other similar book that made that known to me, that what it means is you are working for everybody else, paying everybody else from your salary, and not paying yourself. And that's a fool. Because you know when you collect your pay, you buy credit, you have paid telecoms company. You pay for electricity, you have paid EKDC or what is the one around here. You buy petrol to drive, you have paid the gas station. So if in all of that you don't save some amount or invest it for your own well-being, it means you are a slave working for everybody and not enjoying shishi for yourself. Purpose. And when we're talking, we said purpose and value must align. And so if you are not even a pioneer in an area as an organization, when you emerge in that field, you have to either be creating new value or you are adding value to differentiate yourself. How many of us most of us are familiar with Apple. Apple succeeded because the initial drivers were looking at how do you make computing become personal. At that time, IBM was reigning and it was all business. IBM was even called International Business Machines or something like that. Nobody really had personal computers. Their whole concept was bring it closer home. So that was value creation for individuals. And when the iPod was made, that revolutionized things, and later the iPhone, it was all about having not only personal computer, but something in your palm. Before then, there was Palm, there were a few others, but they didn't quite succeed. And then now we have this thing that is I have more than how many libraries in here? Compared to when it was all physical libraries and we had to go physically and get card to borrow a book, and God help if you don't return the book. They are coming after you. And there were limited hours. But somebody has created value for us with mobile devices, and now we can do everything here. Everything. That's value creation, value addition. In the olden days, phones were only for talking. Then later, talking and texting. Now they are called smartphones, and we can do anything and everything. And then along the line, somebody started developing apps. There's almost an app for everything now. You can be your own first aid doctor, just tracking things on your phone. If you have a smartphone, that does not replace the actual doctor. You must still, but at least there are some basic things you can do. You can check the weather. You can track finances. You can control devices at home. You can find your way travels. How many people remember when it was, and that's even in places that had it, we didn't even have it here. When to navigate, you had to print a map, and you are reading while driving, MapQuest. And God help you if you didn't do well and you could have an accident. Then later they sold standalone devices for GPS or sat-nav in the UK. And now everything, and because those ones have disrupted, those companies that were serving those ones before have either morphed into other things or they folded up. Value creation, value addition. And then earlier on I talked about shared value, which is that you can have both commercial value as well as social value. And that's where it comes that you are thriving beyond profit. For example, organizations today have increasing focus on environmental, social, and governance issues. Society has become very discerning that how you conduct your business is no longer just your exclusive preserve of your management team. Society is saying we need, before we will put money to invest in Chevron or Exxon or Maureen O if she goes public or something, we want to be sure that their purpose and their values represent ours. So some of us will go to banks. They may not explain, but they will not fund you if they don't think your practices represent their values. Investors and donors will check your books. Do you even keep good books? Or do you do as the Yoruba will say, money comes in today, we need to pay school fees, there's no difference, no boundary between business funds and personal funds. When you don't run books well, they cannot fund you because they cannot guarantee that how you will deploy it or that you'll be able to pay back the loan if there isn't governance. But even for the ones that are very good, that they are run well, if how you treat your vendors, your suppliers, it shows that you are very adversarial in the negotiation. You say, I cannot negotiate them, and you only give them little margin. You are not a partner. You are very transactional. Some organizations are not going to run with you. If you encourage child labor, maybe whether you outsource it offshore, or they're making it in Aba, or they're making it in Korea, and it's child labor that is producing those things, in certain parts of the world where they have said child labor is no longer good, you should discourage it. They will not partner with you. And they will either not fund you, and if not funding not what will hurt you, they will protest against you, they will charge you openly, and so on. Citizens are also becoming more aware. That's why the young ones took the government to task over the NSAS issue. And now we are asking more questions. So everybody is discerning, and people are being judged on those ESG parameters. What are you doing regarding the environment? I mentioned Union Carbide earlier on. Are you producing and running your business in a way that you are spoiling the environment? You know, to do oil and gas business, oil is messy. Oil is not something fanciful. It's not palm oil. Even palm oil, you know, if you're not careful, if palm oil touches this thing now, it has changed my appearance. But crude oil is even messier. And when you are converting crude oil and treating it, there are discharges, wastewater. Do you know that Nigeria has high standards of how you must handle that? And if you don't, there are penalties. So people inspect. Before you drain the water, they test the water. Does it meet? There must be a ratio. It must not pass. And so on and so forth. So how we do business. You may say, how does this concern me? I'm not a global company. I'm just a small company. But even at that level, how are you going to get partners? We say in the Bible, can two walk together unless they agree? If you don't have something that is, you're not going to make it in life. You're just going to be able to transact. And in the church, many of us have the mentality of, we just want to bribe God, want to transact with God. We're not thinking of how we will thrive. We're not thinking of impact. You see, once your Christianity is all about what you get, and you are not fulfilling God's purpose that it is more blessed to give than to receive, and that you should be a channel of giving to others, not worried about receiving, because if you automatically fulfill your purpose to give, you will receive without even worrying about anything. If we don't do that, then we are not set up to thrive for impact. And if your personal philosophy is what is going to drive your business philosophy, you are going to carry that same transactional and Shylock attitude to how you run business. Many of us complain a lot. Oh, there are no good workers. They just come and go. They cheat. They do this. Hello? Maybe we need to start and check ourselves first. What vibes do we give? What do we say about our philosophy? When they hear you that you don't send, you are going to cut corners and all of that. Why should they stay and serve you for long? Knowing that no pension scheme, no health scheme, no nothing. If you are going to thrive, you will need to pay attention to those things. Can you do those things and some employee will still misbehave? Oh, yes. But should that stop you from being who you are? It's like that story told about the scorpion and another animal crossing water. And the scorpion said, please help me cross. And he said, I'm afraid you will sting me if we cross. And then they crossed, and he still stung. He said, why did so I can say, I can't help myself. It's my nature. But the other guy too, will you stop helping people because they paid you back? If their Heavenly Father should react like we do, it will just make the sun stop shining, Abi, and say, these people, they are not grateful. Sun don't shine. The sun didn't shine for only 2 days last month in Abuja. And NEPA ran away. You know, NEPA always seems to run when it rains heavily. I've never understood that correlation. Once it rains, they just switch off. So there was no light for like 36 hours or about 2 days. And the skies were very overcast. Even the inverter ran out after about 18 hours or 24. Then I said, Anyway, that's a different story. But can you imagine if we react only to how we are treated rather than by our values and our purpose? If God was to say, these people are ungrateful, let me not allow sun to shine, voila, will start. Many of us will be in trouble. When you look at shared value, you need to ask yourself a few questions as a business. How committed are you with the people that are vital to your success? Are those people positively committed to you? Are they interested in you? Are they neutral towards you? Or do they oppose? Or are they nonchalant? Can you vouch for your key stakeholders? If you look at your top 5 stakeholders, whether they're your employees, your shareholders, the communities, regulators, do you matter enough to them? If you are really going to thrive beyond profit and you're going to really have an impactful business, you need to connect, you need people to connect with you for one reason or another. So you need to check, are they positive? Are they for me? Are they interested enough in me? Have we not seen some institutions, especially banks, that ran into trouble? And then you hear, not only in this country, but even in the US, that they are too big to be allowed to fail. So government will come and put funds to prop them up. Because if they fail, so many consequences will follow. So they say they're just too big, we will lend them. During the global meltdown of 2008, the US had a lot of stimulus packages for a number of institutions on Wall Street. And even here, we've seen some that were supported because they just couldn't be allowed to fail. That is showing that you are relevant, your business is relevant to them. Many of us run businesses where we have credit facilities. One, because we are relevant to that conglomerate, and also because, either because of the value you are delivering to them or because they need you for their supply chain. And if they need you, it means you are valuable to them. And you have a track record as well. And the more you are able to demonstrate that to your key stakeholders, the more you can understand that you are beginning to grow in relevance. And you need to also think of that beyond things. Let's just look at some examples of a few companies. Like my sister said, I like to use examples close to home also so that we are not pointing fingers at other people. Chevron produces oil and gas in Nigeria and across the globe. But that's not all they're about. They do so priding themselves as being good examples of partnership. They say they are the global company most admired for its people, partnership, and performance. And now they changed it to global energy company, but it's about the people. Because it's people that we partner to bring about performance. So there's a lot of investment in people. A lot of investment in people. Investment in helping you to understand what is called the Chevron way. That is about the values. Understand why this company operates. Why this company is ready to walk away from a multi-billion-dollar project if there is bribery or something involved. Why it is ready to spend $2 million to defend something of 20,000 rather than settle at 20,000. Is it a perfect company? No. But there are a lot of things that it does well. And in working, it must partner with suppliers to ensure that it gets the best relationship and value between it and its suppliers. Before I went to the foundation, I was once part of reviews because Nigeria went through some downtimes between 2008 didn't hit us immediately from the world, but by 2009, 2010, it started affecting us up to 2013. And there was a time when Chevron said, all vendors, come, let's sit down. And Pastor B works in procurement, so she'll know this better. And it's not this typical Nigeria business where they say, show us your books, and you are like, like a babalawo, that's private. No, no, no. You want to do business with us, there's a template. We all know how much bolts, valves, pipelines are sold. So let's say this amount. And you saw something similar lately with the pricing of diesel that came out where they put the template. And then they say, okay, for profit, you are allowed this percentage. This one will cover some overhead. And it used to be that before the economy became challenged, most vendors were allowed up to maybe 35% or so. At that point, they told them, you know, we've been doing business for how long? Things are tough for us now. Nigeria is not paying cash call. We are cash strapped. Global economy is depressed. Oil prices are dropped. Can you live with 20 to 25%? Some of our brothers, they thought it was still a joke. They were flexing. Okay, thank you. It was good meeting with you. They moved after dealing with, Good Luck is a good man. Maybe they dealt with Godwin first. Godwin was flexing. They moved to Good Luck. Good Luck agreed to the 25. They went with Good Luck. Godwin, see you when fortunes are better, but we will remember our friends when things were tough. You've been doing with us, you've been chopping 35 to 40 for 10 years, 15 years. We now say it's time to scale down a bit so that we can stay afloat. And you're not. That shows Godwin Global Ventures as only concerned about profit, but not ready to demonstrate value to its partners. And by being myopic. And I led some of those negotiations then. I was representing them, and I sat down and witnessed some others. And that's how some people lost out. But those who stayed, who demonstrated that they're still in business till today. That's the way organizations know they must partner. And that also allowed Chevron to weather the storm and continue to operate successfully and stay afloat. As I said, PIN reduces poverty and conflict. And it's important that the staff of the foundation must see that as its mission, and they must buy into it. It's not just a job. Nobody works in non-profit. No serious person works in non-profit and he says, I'm only here to earn a check. Because every non-profit organization really has a mission either to help children, to sort education, to sort violence against women and girls. You must have a passion. You must see it as a passion. For me, I call it ministry. Ministry that is paid for by the private sector. So there is no better way to even operate. It's very, because these are, when you find some things that you will do even if you are not paid for, you know that you are thinking beyond profit. And it's about thriving beyond profit that makes a lot of our businesses have social responsibility programs. Even the church does church social responsibility. When we started CAN, it was about being responsible. And when you see a lot of people questioning the church, not just about tithes, but just saying the church must be accountable, it's because they are saying, we need to see you beyond profit. In some cases, some of us have forgotten that we are non-profit, we are running churches as businesses. And it's a common joke all over the place that the fastest growing business in Nigeria is politics, followed by the church, or is it the other way around? I'm not sure which one it is. And you hear stories where people collect loans to set up churches and they deliver returns. And they say that's why there will always be one program or the other because there must be offerings and something and so on. So it's important that we understand why we are, what we are about and where we are here, and we don't have that transactional carryover into how we run our businesses. Because if you do so, your business will not last. And then you see some people who are always around closing something and moving to another one. It's not just because they are very good and entrepreneurial. Other times it's because there is a lack of sustainability. Of course, there are times when adverse conditions can affect such businesses. But then there are others who have been in the same line for so long, they've weathered the storm, they are relevant, they are delivering value there, and they know how to scale back and think. But this is their area of core competency, and they stand there and you can see the results. If you are only about profit, there will be no sustainability. And your workforce, you will have a lot of high turnover. Suppliers, relationship with suppliers will be fractious. And consumers, they will likely balk. How many of us see, Apple has such a cult following? Personally, can I go off camera? I think Apple na Jaguda company. But I'm a lawful captive. 2 iPhones, iPad, nothing else. I can't touch Android. Why? They've created value and they've created a brand and a sense of thing that makes some of us to be lawful captives still following them, and you pay a little premium. When you are in business and your consumers and your partners are able to stick with you rather than go for a cheaper alternative, then you know you're already beginning to deliver something and you've got a connection with them in that regard. What makes some of us travel many kilometers, pass God knows how many parishes of RCCG to come here? There is something that you are deriving from here, and there is value that here is providing that brings that connection. It's not as if you can't stay in Ikoyi, VI, Awoyaya and pray and God won't hear you. It's not as if you stop by other parishes, God won't hear you, but there's something because you've made that connection. As I begin to, I think we'll save some for the panel, right? Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is more desirable than great riches. Proverbs 22 verse 1. A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. It's better you have good reputation and a good brand for your business than that you are just noted for making a quick buck and shafting people and owing people. There are some big names in this land, and unfortunately some of them go by the title of believers, that have reputation for not honoring agreements. You do business with them, they won't pay the full amount. Or if they pay at all, they won't pay full. Or they have a reputation for owing. And then by owing, they've disrupted a small business. They've disrupted that small business's equilibrium to be able to transact business. That is not thriving beyond profit. That's not business beyond profit. So, impactful businesses will invest in people. They will see their employees not just as resources, but as partners in their purpose and their mission. They will invest in building capacity, ensuring that their workers are equipped, empowered, in tune with the times, and they can contribute to the goals of the organizations while also advancing their own careers. They won't be so transactional and calculating that maybe will leave me or want to come with unreasonable bonds. Just what comes naturally. That person goes, they'll still be your ambassador where they go. I'm very happy that a lot of those who leave our organization are sometimes the ones that introduce us to other people, and things come, and they can come for every event or things, and they speak well. That's what you want to have, that they are your ambassadors out there. I want to talk about the principle of triple bottom line. That's where people, planet, and profit. People, planet, and profit. It still ties in with shared value. This is where impactful businesses that want to thrive beyond profit, they understand that financial success and social impact are not against each other. They are not mutually exclusive rather. So they strike a balance between their profit making, the economic performance, then their social responsibility and their environmental sustainability. They realize that by doing all of this well, they can also do good. And they must engage their communities very well. So there are many examples of businesses that have successfully scaled their social impact. Whether it's by creating jobs in remote areas, or by developing sustainable products, or promoting ethical procurement and supply chain practices, they prove that it is possible to make a profit while making a difference. Your business must have one form of social responsibility that you are doing. Even if it's just to the nearest charity, something that you're doing, but make sure it's something that aligns with your purpose and can be an expression of what you're doing there. Let me run through quickly that to achieve this kind of, to build an impactful business, you need to have a real entrepreneurial mindset. And that's almost a given in that a number of you are already entrepreneurs, but you need to have that mind that's always thriving and innovation, and you are adaptable. If you are not adaptable, and you don't have employees that you have trained and groomed to be adaptable, and you're not constantly looking for creative solutions to real-world problems, then you're not likely to survive when the times are tougher. Such minds are able to take calculated risks and experiment with new approaches that align with their values. They are not just all over the place. Don't get me wrong, as I said before, let me emphasize, profit is not an enemy. You must make profit. If not, you are not in business. But profit is not the end. Just as my sister Cherry was saying earlier on, your spouse is not your destination. Profit is not your destination, but it's an enabler of your purpose, your mission, especially your social mission. And the more profitable you become as a business, the more resources you then have to reinvest in achieving social and environmental impact. There's nothing stopping you from supporting what we do here. If you're a business and you understand some of the programs, there's nothing stopping you from keying into our welfare or social response, the feeding program, as part of how you are acting at some things. Just make sure you are looking at them either around the environment, social, or they are improving governance, or at least the sustainable development goals are there. In fact, if your business does not align with at least one of the sustainable development goals, something is wrong. Google them and just see how you are contributing, either to poverty reduction, or to improving the environment, or to ensuring peace, and so on. You must at least be able to live with one. At PIND, we have seen firsthand how impactful organizations can empower women, youth, and persons with disability or any other marginalized group to become active participants in the economy. Many of them will not be able to have the opportunities that able-bodied ones have. So you have to be more intentional about creating avenues to have them to be included. That's why organizations also spend a lot on financial inclusion to ensure that other people are able to access services, financial services, that make business easier to do. Not just for profit, but to also render services to them. So, in closing, let me leave you with a few takeaways. Organizations exist for a purpose. That purpose must involve value creation or value addition. Shared value requires that you think both about commercial return and social return. Purpose, your mission, your purpose will drive sustainability. Businesses that prioritize purpose alongside profit will end up being more resilient in the long run. They will be more resilient in the long run. And impactful enterprises and businesses must foster growth. When they align business strategies with impactful missions and purposes, they can create meaningful change in their communities. You know, there are some organizations that are so influential that when they speak on an issue, people listen. Even in the church space, when the Roman Catholic Church speaks, not one priest on his own, but even one priest on his own, when they speak in most nations, people listen and things reverberate. When an industry leader speaks on behalf of others, in Nigeria it could be Shell, for example, being the biggest, and speaking on behalf of the sector, you know that even government listens. Stakeholders listen. You want to understand that when you are impactful and you align like that, you can create meaningful change. You have a voice. You are not powerless. And so if you feel about some social gap or problem, thriving beyond profit requires that you can channel resources to help to address those kind of things. And you don't have to do it alone. It's okay to look for like-minded ones to collaborate, because collaboration will enhance your impact. The Bible says one can put 100 to flight and two can put 10,000, Abi. So if we team up, we can do even more in that regard. So working with partners can amplify our impact and create lasting solutions. In conclusion, building impactful businesses is not just about profitability, it's about transforming lives, and it's about shaping society, shaping communities. As we gather here at this Thrive for Impact conference, let us commit to creating businesses, enterprises that prioritize purpose along with profit, and they foster a more equitable and sustainable future for all of us. Thank you for your attention. And then I look forward to the conversations we'll have as we go along.
Thank you so much, sir. We're deeply honored. Thank you.